Charlie Kirk, the name that echoes across America's political landscape like a battle cry. The young conservative who rose from suburban obscurity to become a face of modern activism. But tonight, we're not talking about Charlie the speaker or Charlie the movement leader. We're talking about something far deeper, something buried beneath the polished speeches and viral clips. Because for the first time, his parents have spoken, and what they revealed has left millions reeling. So sit back, take a deep breath, and let's dive in. Because what they confirmed will change everything you thought you knew about Charlie Kirk. Imagine the quiet Chicago suburbs years ago, before the fame, before the lights, before Turning Point USA became a household name. There was a boy, bright-eyed, ambitious, restless. His father, a man of business. His mother, a teacher with a gentle but unyielding faith. They raised their son with structure, discipline, and a constant reminder that truth mattered more than applause. But even as a child, Charlie had that spark, that defiant streak that made him question everyone and everything. He wasn't satisfied with easy answers. He wanted to challenge, debate, provoke. And that fire only grew. His parents saw it. They worried. They wondered. What kind of world would a boy like this walk into? What forces would shape him? What temptations would he face when power finally came knocking? Years passed, and then came the movement, the rallies, the cameras, the endless talk shows. Suddenly, the quiet boy from the suburbs was the loudest voice in the room. The parents watched in silence, proud, yet uneasy, because they knew what fame does. They knew how easily conviction can be consumed by applause. But they stayed silent, until now, until the moment when silence became unbearable, when the truth had to come out. And so they spoke, not to condemn their son, not to praise him, but to reveal what so many had long suspected. And what they said began not with politics, not with religion, not even with ideology. It began with pain. His mother's voice trembled as she spoke. "We watched him become someone else," she said, "someone we hardly recognized." You could feel the heartbreak in every word. His father sat beside her, staring down, the weight of years pressing on his shoulders. "He believed he had to become larger than life," his father added. "But sometimes when you chase the light, you forget who you are." The audience fell silent. For years, people had speculated. Was Charlie's fire genuine? Was his mission pure? Or had the machinery of fame reshaped him into something artificial? His parents' words cut through that speculation like a knife. "We love him," his mother continued, "but love also means truth. And the truth is, he lost himself for a while." Imagine hearing that from the people who raised you, the people who taught you right from wrong, the people who now, in their gentle grief, are saying what the world has whispered for years. The narrator's voice trembles as we move deeper. Because this isn't just about Charlie Kirk anymore. It's about every young person who gets swallowed by their own ambition. Every leader who begins with ideals but ends up trapped by image. His parents described long nights, missed calls, tense holidays, the moments when their son's world became too big to include them. "He stopped coming home," his father said softly, "not just physically." Spiritually, the audience murmured. You could feel the discomfort, the empathy, the unspoken understanding that success always demands a price. And maybe, just maybe, Charlie had paid more than anyone realized. Then came the question that stunned everyone. The interviewer leaned forward. "So why speak now?" The parents exchanged a long glance. His mother finally said, "Because the truth still matters. And because we want him to remember who he really is." It wasn't an accusation. It was a plea. The kind only parents can make. The kind that cuts through pride in politics. You could almost hear the echo of a boy's laughter. The echo of a simpler time before the world called his name. The camera panned to old family photos. Charlie as a child, holding a Bible, smiling at a church picnic, helping his mom with groceries. Innocent moments, frozen in time. And then the narrator turns to the audience. "Have you ever watched someone you love change before your eyes?" The music swells. The crowd holds its breath. Because that's what this story's about. Not politics, but people. Not movements, but the moments that define us. His father's voice grew steady now. "He's done great things," he admitted. "He's reached millions, inspired youth, built something from nothing. But in the process, he started believing he was the message. And that's when the danger began. The words hung heavy. The idea that ego, not evil, might be the root of the fall. His mother nodded, tears streaming down. He used to listen, she whispered. He used to pray before he spoke. But now he speaks before he listens. The crowd murmured again, a mix of shock and sympathy. And then came the twist. His parents revealed they had kept journals over the years, notes from conversations, letters never sent, words they wanted to tell their son but couldn't. They shared one of them on air. The mother unfolded a faded piece of paper. "Charlie," she read, "we see you. We love you, but we miss the boy who believed that truth was not something to win, but something to live." The narrator pauses, lets it sink in, because those words aren't just about him. They're about all of us, about the moment we trade authenticity for approval, the moment we let the crowd define our worth. The scene fades. The parent's confession goes viral. Millions watch, millions comment. Some defend Charlie fiercely, others nod, saying this confirms what they always felt. But through the noise, one thing becomes clear. The story isn't about blame, it's about awakening. His parents didn't want to expose him. They wanted to remind him, and maybe remind America too. Because somewhere in all this chaos of headlines and hashtags, we forget that behind every icon is a son, a friend, a human being struggling to stay true in a world that rewards performance over principle. The narrator leans closer. "And maybe that's the real tragedy," he says softly, "that in chasing greatness, we often lose the goodness that got us there." The screen fades to black. But this isn't the end, because after their interview, something unexpected happened. Charlie saw it, watched it from his phone late at night, according to close sources, and what he did next would send ripples through the nation. He called them, for the first time in months. "Mom, Dad." I saw it silence, then tears, then forgiveness. The camera zooms in. The audience holds their breath. "You were right," he said. "I forgot why I started. But maybe it's not too late." The narrator pauses. Maybe it never is. And that, my friends, is where the story takes a turn none of us expected. Charlie sat alone that night. The glow of the screen reflected in his eyes. The words of his parents played again and again in his head. Each sentence cut deeper than any critic ever could. It wasn't anger he felt. It was something heavier, something called truth. He realized the world he built had walls so high even love couldn't climb them. But now, he was ready to open the door. The next morning, a post appeared online. It wasn't a speech, not a statement, just a message. "Family first." Always it spread like wildfire. People didn't know what it meant, but his parents did. It was his way of saying thank you, his way of saying sorry, his way of coming home. And maybe that's the message we all needed, that no matter how far we rise, no matter how loud the world becomes, there's always a place where silence speaks louder than applause. The place called home. The narrator's voice softens. "In the end," he says, "truth has a way of finding its way back." The lights fade. The story ends. But the lesson lingers. Never let the noise of the world drown out the voices that first taught you how to speak. And with that, the screen goes dark. The audience exhales. The journey of Charlie Kirk, a son, a leader, a reminder that even the strongest voices sometimes need to listen again. Charlie sat alone that night. The city outside was quiet. The lights flickered across his face as he stared at the screen that replayed his parents' interview. Every word echoed in his mind. Every tear on his mother's face haunted him. This wasn't politics. This wasn't media. This was family. The one thing he thought he could always come back to. But somehow, in chasing influence, he had drifted too far. His father's words replayed like a heartbeat. He believed he had to become larger than life. And now, for the first time, Charlie wondered if becoming larger than life meant losing the life that truly mattered. The phone felt heavy in his hand. He wanted to call. But what could he say? Sorry? For what? For missing birthdays? For ignoring calls? For turning truth into a stage performance? He hesitated. Then he whispered, "I miss home." It wasn't much, but it was honest. And honesty was something he hadn't spoken in a long time. The next morning, the headlines were everywhere. Charlie Kirk breaks his silence. But this time, there was no debate, no anger, no politics, just a quiet message posted to millions of followers. Family first. Always. The world didn't know what it meant. Some thought it was a slogan. Others thought it was a sign of change. But his parents knew. They sat together reading it, holding hands. And they smiled. It wasn't victory, it was peace. For the first time in years, peace found its way back into their home. Days later, Charlie finally made the drive back to the suburbs. The same streets that raised him. The same house that had watched him grow. Subscribe now for more premium.